How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Rich Kozak with us, and Rich guides individuals in elevating their unique gift so their brand makes higher level impacts. The most connecting, deep listening, caring branding expert you will ever meet personally. This I concur. So he's guided to share each individual make the most significant impacts of the world using the gift they have been given. So, Chris, tell us what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
That's such a great question, and I'm not surprised you're asking it since that's your favorite question. Okay, first of all, it's like reading a book. You want to know who wrote the book before you read it so that you can understand a little bit better where they're coming from. So I'm going to do one sentence. I have been defining and languaging brands and launching them for 49 years.
Wow, that's very
Most
impressive.
much of it, 20 years, was with an agency that had partners in 21 countries. Big boy branding is private companies growing quickly, everything from semiconductors to software. But in the last 10 years, I have been focused on individuals who know they're not done and want to make higher level impacts on the world they touch. So, and I'm doing it for a very specific reason because I believe I get to. So that's the guy that's talking to you. And here are the 5 steps, and write them down.
Gotta
Number
take
one,
notes.
ask you, look, you want to be successful. It might redefine what you think of as successful. When your work is love, you have gotten close to why you've been made. So let's not kid around. Number one is ask your heart. What impacts? Hey, heart. Not your mind. Don't ask your head, please. Ask your heart. Hey, heart. Who do I really want to impact? And what are the impacts I clearly see making on them when I'm thriving at this and everything is working? Everything I'm doing is successful. Picture that. Whom do I clearly see impacting, and what are the impacts I know I can make? I can see them in my mind's eye. That's step one. When you start there, it bakes clarity into everything you say and do. And here's why that's important, and then we'll get to step two. If you're listening to this, you're an individual. Okay, so here goes. An individual has what you stand for. So you're a brand. Now you might have a company and it's a brand, but you're a brand. So most brands fall flat. Companies, individuals, big companies, solopreneurs fall flat. Why? Clarity is missing. When you bake clarity, particularly the clarity that comes from the desire you have to make impacts, significance on the world you touch, everything aligns. Step two, write this down. This might sound self-serving, but look, okay, define and language the brand you will become. You're going to need to learn something here. You want to make bigger impacts. You want to have a bigger business. You want to scale and touch a lot of lives. You want to make a real impact on the world you touch. You better clearly define and language it. And I'll tell you why. If you don't have 4 things, you're going to fall flat. You got to bake them in. You've got to bake them in. And that comes from clear definition and languaging. It comes from unique languaging that transfers energy. It comes from consistency across the board. And frankly, that's the third step. It's so important. Once you define and language the brand you will become, and for your impacts, it's the brand you must become to make those impacts. Consistency across the board. You change it up. You say it this way this today and say it that way tomorrow. You hire marketers and say, you guys use your magic words, and they're using words that are incongruent with your heart. Listen, number 3 is consistency across the board. People don't get that. They don't even think about, you know what? Listen, hire someone and they do a job the first day, great. But then the next day they do it differently. And the next day they do it differently. Do you trust them? No, because you don't know what to expect. Your brand's like that. Don't let your brand be like that.
If you confuse them, you lose them, right, Rich?
You are a wise man. You absolutely. Step 4, connect broadly from your heart to others' hearts. Show up. You're never going to be super successful if you don't show up. 90% of success is showing up. Showing up means a lot of things, and you've already heard consistently. So when you show up the same way all the time. These little things are like what's talked about in books. It's not the big home run. It's not the grand slam that makes you successful. It's the consistent little things. And those things include the steps we've talked about. The focus, the baking in clarity, the consistency across the board, and those things that you must define in language into your brand. Consistent language that transfers energy, positive ongoing recognizability. You've got to bake those things in. Step 5. Most people are not going to want to hear this, okay? But it's coming from my heart. The book I read every morning says we're here for 2 reasons. Number 1 is to love each other, and number 2 is to praise God. You didn't create yourself. You're not here for you. You have a purpose. You've been given unique gifts. And frankly, we have all been born with unlimited power. And then we give it away, get in fear, hold ourselves back, wonder why we're not successful, and praise. Ask for what you're here for. Ask what you are intended to do. Ask and praise and live in gratitude and thankfulness. Here's why I tell you those 5 steps. It's not the 5 steps you're expecting from a branding consultant. Okay, seriously. But
I love them. I love them. That amazing.
I'm telling you, if it's like things are a process, branding is a process, marketing is you leave steps out, is it going to work out great?
Absolutely.
So it's like life. I just helped a client write a book that just got picked up by a major New York publisher with global reach. It's called The Power to Live Your Life. 7 Things to Not Interrupt. Okay. People do stuff. They get a blind spot and they don't realize it's a blind spot and they do something and then they rationalize it and then they repeat it. So like the exception becomes the rule. It's human nature. I'm sorry. Do the steps.
Rich, so regarding, because our audience are entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneur or business owner, from small business, medium-sized business, large businesses, they all listen the broadcast. And can you expand a little bit more in the areas that when you say define the words that define your brand, right?
Mhm.
How someone that is starting out, they don't even know. Even when I started my first business, I don't even know what brand means. I did it so wrong. I did it so wrong that I had to rebrand, and it cost me a lot of money, $500,000, because of the because.
Please listen to Harry's story. Okay. Listen to Harry's story.
And I'm sure everybody listening happened the same thing. You started the business, you don't know. I remember when my first company. I went to the bank and I said to the bank, look, I'm opening a company. And the banker said, yeah? I said, yeah. And he said, okay, what's the name? And I said, I don't know. And the banker told me, don't worry about that. This is easy. What the company do? Property. Okay. Rooms. He told me, what's your favorite band? I said, the Rolling Stones. I said, okay, good. What's your favorite color? I said, purple. Said, that's it, Purple Stone Rooms. That's how we made the name of my first company.
Okay.
Advised by the banker. Yeah.
I might use that. I do a half-day event every month called Branding You with the Tech.
Oh, yeah. This is I didn't have any clue.
I teach how to name things.
Yeah.
And You failed all in all.
Oh, and then yeah, then you
Oh
can
man.
even sell 1 million with that, yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you want to scale and you start to look on the consistency, your clients, and actually you start to one thing is to have a business, the other completely different thing, Rich, is to build the brand, right? So we were at that stage in this business that we actually had to build the brand, and eventually I learned what that means, and it was a painful and expensive process.
I'm going to honor your question. You said go a little deeper about what you mean by defining, defining and
Yes,
languaging the brand.
please.
Okay, the teaching the process is way out of the scope of this interview, but I'm going to say some things that I want you to write down because it'll change the way you think and change the way you act. Here goes. Let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay? What is your brand? Seriously, let's just start there. Your brand, write this down. My brand, write it down. My brand is a perception. It's not your perception. You see, people think their brand is what they say it is. People think their brand is what they think it is. People, Harry's story, his brand was Purple Stone, whatever it was. Okay, and he'll tell you about it and why. Tell you this. So you could talk to me for a minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes about your brand. It doesn't matter what you say, and it doesn't matter what you think. Your brand is a perception, and it's a perception. The perception you care about and you get to shape is the perception in the mind of those individuals that you most care about impacting, bringing value to. They may run companies, they may run countries. The individuals you most care about impacting, it's their perception. That's your brand. Not the people 15,000 miles away that love to pet giraffes. Unless your business is giraffes, then I'm sorry if I've used you as an example. But we don't worry about them. You're concerned with shaping a consistent perception in the mind of those individuals you most care about impacting. And you can see the impacts when you're thriving, when your brand is thriving, everything is working, you can see the impacts you can make. It's their perception. So what is branding? Branding is all the things we get to do, and none of us have the money or the time to do them all. So you've got to be selective that shape that consistent perception. So there's one other elephant in the room, and that is what's the difference between marketing and branding? And here it is real clearly. Write it down. Your marketing, when it's at its best, when it's most effective, is the execution of an excellent brand strategy. Now I'm going to answer your question.
Absolutely.
Take us deeper about, and I'm going to give you one example that will bring this all together. The process of defining and languaging the brand includes what I said before, envisioning those you most want to impact. You write down the impacts and you write down what they're thinking in their own head. Thoughts that repeat regularly, relevant to what you do. We'll call those careabouts. Things like, I don't think I can do this. Things like, I hope that the money shows up. Things like, before they meet your brand. Whatever they're thinking, you write those down. Baiting, when it's time for marketing, and do not even let your brand open its mouth until you finish defining and languaging the brand. But once your brand is ready to open its mouth, then bait your marketing hooks with the careabouts of your target audiences.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's in my head. Oh, he understands exactly how I feel. Oh, that company they really are for me. They're the ones for me. That's the dots connect. I just had I did a 1-day bonus day on Saturday. There were 8 people helping each other define and language their brand. It's remarkable. We do brand accelerator mastery here. These are people at all levels. Some were just starting. Some have been in there for 8 weeks, and they were near the end of defining their umbrella brand, not just their redefining their business brand, but defining what they stand for overall. The umbrella brand, where all the things they do and are spokes, and the umbrella is where they get to make their highest level impacts. You've never even heard this language before. Look, it is possible, and it is possible for you, and it helps you step into why you're really here. But one person said, and she was 3 weeks into it. She goes, what's really amazing is it's so exciting watching everything connect and go to the next level. It says it's all connected. This is amazing. Branding is not what you think it is. It's a process. It is steps. I had to teach $14 billion companies this. I had to teach $300 million software, rapid growth company, that branding is a process and it's steps. It's like building a pipeline through a jungle. You can't out the steps. But people don't see it that way. Big CEOs that had financial background or legal background or weren't marketing, they don't see it that way. Even people with marketing background, they're not trained in branding. They don't see it that way. It's steps. There are certain things you get to do. And when you do them, everything aligns with the impacts you first wrote down that you clearly see making. And I mean everything you and your brand says and does aligns with those impacts. Where do you think you're going to get faster? The impacts. And you know what else? The money. And maybe that's why you're here. You're interested in the money. But I'm telling you, you cannot leave out this process. And if you leave God out,
without
good luck,
building the
okay?
brand, you're not gonna make any money. You cannot exit the business. People don't buy your business. People don't buy your business. People buy your brand. If you don't define the brand, you cannot exit the business, right? Because they cannot buy the business with you. So, and then the other thing is, what message do you have for entrepreneurs that say, look, what are you doing? Have you done any branding? And they said, yeah, I did my logo. So a lot of startup founders, they business and they say, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna do a logo, yeah, and that's it. That's my brand. That's all I had to do, and they won. Is actually very very common. Worse, they think that some of them spend a lot of money in the logo, maybe thinking that that's it. This I have the logo. That's it. This is my brand.
Well, that's why
So
I started with the elephant in the room. When you understand that what you're doing in branding is really shaping the perception. And look,
it's
if
not a
you're
logo.
if
It's
your
not a
end game,
logo.
well, a logo is a marketing execution element that helps to get you one of the four things, which is positive ongoing recognizability. If you have a stupid looking logo or you pay for stupid television commercials and people say, oh, there's that stupid logo, there's that stupid commercial again, that's not positive ongoing recognizability and you will fall flat.
Yeah, it has to be aligned. And then, Rich, the let's talk about this because when we're running a business, okay, uh, I mean, marketing is like an investment. You put some money and then you make some money back, and kind of makes sense. The product you the product and you sell it, and that's why you need employees and you need the accountant and you need this, yeah. But then you have this thing which is brand, which is very difficult to measure. What is the return on investments for people starting out the business, and that's why is the last thing. This happened to me actually. Is the last thing that we care or pay attention. This is first time founders. Second time founders, well, second time founders, they focus more in marketing and sales, and after they look at the product. But third time founders, they start from the brand after they develop the marketing and sales strategy, and finally they the product. This is my own experience. I'm telling you from my lifetime. Every time that I'm gonna start a business or I'm getting involved in something, I'm looking first before to do anything, how this brand is gonna look like, what is going to project, and then we build from there. And but it has been a long process of learning, a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning this along by making mistakes. Why do you? And I can tell you, I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs all over the world. And I can tell you that 80% of entrepreneurs, this is the normal process. They start the product, they sell it, and the last thing that everybody's thinking is the branding. So what is your opinion on this? And why do you think this is happening?
Well, people are miscommunicated to. They think that it's about marketing, and they come.
They
So
think like TV advertising. They go and they see, I don't know, Nike in the TV. Ah, yes, this company, they can afford to do branding. Look, they have
okay,
this amazing ad with the order so expensive.
one of the
And they say, I'm a small guy, so I cannot do branding. And then they forget about it because that's what they think it's branding, right?
people misperceive what branding is because the world is filled with companies and individuals who want to sell marketing things, and they say this is good for your branding. They build this thing that brand is a logo, brand is a campaign, brand is a thing, and people think that. And so when an entrepreneur says,
There are
"Oh, I don't,"
sometimes like brand awareness that you hear. I don't think that people know what means this brand awareness thing.
that's why we started by saying your brand is a perception. And if you don't focus on your brand as the perception in the mind of your target audience, and your job being to shape a consistent perception, you're screwed. So here's what happens. I'll answer your question by saying, if you don't define and language your brand clearly so that it transfers energy and attracts instead of falling flat, and attracts your target audience, those people, your best fit clients, the people that are perfect to buy your product or buy your service or buy your consulting. If you don't focus on that way, and you don't define and language your brand so clearly that the clarity is baked in and it attracts people and they feel it, it's like palpable. They go, wow, there's something different about that company. If you don't do that, here's what you're going to get. 6 bad consequences. You'll recognize them. Number 1, confusion, misinformation. Oh, I thought you did that. So you don't do, you will not get credit for what makes you outstanding because the clarity's not there. So you won't get credit. It's possible other people will get credit for things you're better at. You'll waste a lot of money probably on marketing or shiny objects, but marketing, and then you'll think the marketing didn't work, but it's not the marketing that didn't work. It's you didn't clearly define and language the brand so that the marketing executes it and it's consistent and people feel the clarity and they're attracted. You didn't do that, and that's a result. And some who might be doing it better get ahead of you, and you lose time. Those are the 6, and you'll get them all. When you clearly define and language the brand, those go away. So do things like the top 10 things that people say. And I mean, big companies been doing this 49 years. Let's not kid around. If you don't want to listen to me, okay. But you might want to write these things down. Okay. So they say this, we need better ways to say what we do. Wait a minute, you do it. Okay, I don't want to be snarky here, but honest to God, that's number 1. Number 2 is like, we don't get credit for what really makes us outstanding. Our business isn't growing fast enough. We don't get the right people come into our website, and we get those other people. We don't know how to position ourselves to charge what we're worth. That's really popular among solopreneurs. I don't know how to position my brand to charge what I'm worth. Oh, what kind of content do you think my target audience will really care about? These are very common. And they all go away. They all disappear when you clearly define and language your brand. The process we use ends up writing titles and subtitles of content that you can use for 4 or 5 years as your brand launches to all of its target audiences. Literally, in brand language, titles and subtitles of content that you can use for all different kinds of content. It's like, really? Well, we don't do it. We don't pull it out of we start with the impacts. It's look above me. It's an impact driven. I'm not kidding around. We start with the impacts that you wrote down, that you clearly see. First level impact. Oh, they'll reframe how they see them. Oh, they'll have a different behavior. They'll have different results. They'll become a world change. You write down the impacts you clearly see having on those you really want to impact. Everything flows from that. The characteristics you must get known for to make those impacts, the categories of expertise, and how you say them. You realize that there's a difference between, I'll give you two examples. One is a silly example for myself. Somebody says, you're a branding consultant. What do you do? And if I said unique language, but that it didn't transfer, if I said, well, I manage the 31 contiguous iterations of the branding continuum, you would be asleep and you'd leave the room. Oh, that's nice. But if I said, well, we do a lot of things, but people say we put rocket fuel in their branding gas tank. I don't say that, but I use that example because words have power. Words transfer energy or not. When your language is congruent with your heart, is congruent with those impacts you want to make, and you say something, here's the other example. Actually, I'll give you two more. One of the first clients I had wanted to build a huge one-on-one yoga studio for wealthy people that paid a monthly or annual fee. You remember this? And they were known for thousands of years to put them on their path of wellness. It was yoga to Ayurvedic food. It was like crazy good, right? How do you position that in a world where there's 35 yoga places that you Google and it throws up a map of 35 places where you can get yoga? And you walk into one and what do you guys do? And they go, oh, it's hot yoga upstairs, cold yoga downstairs, $24.95 for the first month. You have a towel. Here is an example of language that transfers energy. The woman speaking at the New Body Conference is an expert at body intelligent yoga. 3 words, very attractive, like a magnet for her target audience. They've been doing yoga in their bazillion-dollar house for years, and they know they want to take it to a higher level, but they don't have a Sherpa. Body intelligent yoga. Okay, here's another guy comes to me and goes, this was just a couple years ago, and he still works with us today. He comes to me and he goes, look, my wife died from lupus. I've reframed how I do my own life. I don't do drugs and stuff anymore. Not drugs. I don't do pharmaceuticals, because that's what killed my wife. I've learned all about new things. I've learned about the brain. I've learned about stem cells. And I teach people that, and it's like, I don't know what my brand is. Okay, good luck with that. You know what his global umbrella brand is today? Look this out now. The man speaking at the conference next week is an expert at mindful longevity, experiencing a younger brain as you age. Don't tell me that doesn't attract. And he offers health mentoring that empowers lives. You get chills down your spine. Okay, that's the difference. And that comes from the steps. It's purely him. Everything his brand says and does feels like the most comfortable pair of shoes. And he asks, and he knows it's what he's here to do. He lost his wife. Really? But sometimes, we know things happen for a reason. There are no coincidences. So I'm not your normal branding guy, but I'm telling you, if
words happen.
You can skip decades of your life not plugging into why you're really here. Don't waste your time. I mean, you might have a lot of fun and collect toys. It's not about that. So I'm sorry if I pissed off your audience, but I'm just saying,
no.
You can get it all. Okay.
Tell us, which one have been your biggest challenge when it comes to branding? What are the good, the bad, and the ugly? And how you overcome that challenge?
Wow.
Working in corporate.
Wow. When it comes to branding. In the day, when I was with the agency, the biggest challenge was a $14 billion company. We had this 24-person meeting at the top of the and the meeting was to, end up in it was like an all day, so something better happen, supposed to end up at a happy moment of celebration where we've defined, the brand and okay, that's tricky because then you got to say, look, we've got to deal with this and this and this, back to you with, but they weren't there for us to come back to. That was probably the most challenging moment in a professional and consultant's career. And we came with all the right credentials, the right team. Everybody had a role, and it's like, tough.
What, they were not prepared to hear what you guys shared with them? They were not ready for it yet?
They wanted conclusions that we weren't reaching in that session. So it required another couple of weeks for us to do more work and bring it back to them and say, here's the recommendation.
It doesn't happen overnight. It's a creative process, right?
It is, and part of it is creative. I mean, if you think branding is just a creative process, you're already out on the plank, ready to fall in and eaten by the sharks. Okay, it's a lot more than that, but there's creative language choices. And when we write titles and subtitles of content, sometimes we go, oh, that's a good one. And the client says, turn that black, because we write in blue as draft. But sometimes it's like, that one's not working. We need to come back to that one. Okay. It is one word, sometimes changing a to the, or using a different word totally shifts the energy. And yeah, it is. Language is a process. Creative idea is a process. When it comes to developing the look and feel, the color palette, the logos, favicons, how you name products or retreats or groups, or naming is hugely important. Naming transfers. When you name something, you give it energy. You know, if you say, oh, you just want to order the kit, and that's it, they go, what kit? But if you say, well, order the 30-second start kit, I want to jump start in 30 seconds. You know, it's like, so language is powerful. It's the important part. Unique language that transfers energy is one of the 4 things a brand must have, or it will fall flat and won't get credit for what makes it outstanding.
So what advice do you have from people on corporate that want to start their own business? You've been in both worlds, and some of our listeners, they are in corporate and they want to have their own business, but they have that fear because, of course, in corporate you can tell to your colleagues or to everyone, look, this is not my job. But when you're running your business, everything becomes your job. You are the owner. It's difference, and a lot of people want to be entrepreneur because they love the freedom. They love that you can fill your own calendar. They love that you can do what you love. But we are realizing that the first couple of years of you having your own business, you had to you sell your first million, to you get product market fit. It's gonna be a process, like you described, that you're gonna be wearing a lot of hats, and you do things that you like to do, also things that you don't like to do. Until
Well,
so,
and it doesn't take long when you're building a business. Doesn't every business coach, really good business coach, will tell you that, it's a third marketing, it's a third operations, because you got to deliver the product, and it's a administration. And the first big change you get to make when you're on a roll and you're making some money is get rid of the administration and have somebody else do it. Because chances are, let's just get over that. Most entrepreneurs really don't like the administration part of it. They like, so for those corporate, I
people that
want
want
to
to
do
make the
my own thing. I want to do my own thing. People that want to make the jump. Yeah, look, that is a perfect time to ask yourself, what are the impacts I really want to make? If it's in your area of expertise that you've developed as a corporate employee and you're now going to be consulting, that's an easy one because you already have that. You already have a reputation. At least among your customers, you have people that will speak to, well, he really knows his stuff. You can get testimonials, and that will speed other people saying what you're good at will speed your process. Okay. We have a system where we pre-write testimonials in the language of your target audience, and then offer them and say, we're looking for people telling, others like what they really love about it. Here's some things people say. If any of them resonate with you, just pick one, and sometimes they do. And now we get perfect testimonials because we wrote them, but they accepted them and said, yeah, that's my experience. You can speed the process, but it is a process. Focus on the impacts you want to make. Don't focus on, oh, I've heard that's a good place to make money. Oh, that's a good place to make money. Stay employed until you're, and know what makes you sing. It's bring you a lot of joy in your life. It's not going to be very fulfilling. And we're not here to be, administered to death. And we're not here to be, to work ourselves into a lather. We're here to live and live abundantly. Imagine if you can step into what you're really made to do, even continue what you're really good at, and have it put you on a platform that makes it easier to step into why you're really here. That's what you want. So focus on those impacts first, and then take time to define and language it so that when you're ready to, we call it launch day. We say when the curtain goes up and you say, hey, target audience, the brand is here and it's here for you. And they go, whoa. And you say, here's what's coming up. We're starting this, we're promoting this. Remember, next year we're doing this retreat in Hawaii. You're already there on launch day, making a roadmap of momentum. This is not difficult, but it is a process. And so I pray that you choose to be ready, and my best advice is focus on the impacts. I have a client who she's of chemical engineering. She worked for an oil company for years. She was the tech person on the sales team, and she drove to an event where she was speaking with the sales team, and she was told, your reservation's been canceled. She had been fired by a new boss, and she had drove 4 hours to get there, and she was so anxious. She was driving home, and what she says in her TED Talk is, I said to myself, oh, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. I can make that work. And she wrote a book called The Reinvention Mindset. and now an umbrella brand called Extraordinary Life, because it's more than just doing stuff. It's the way you live. And she helps, get this language, she rescues STEM women from business success to soul joy. It's like, yeah. So we all get to go there, guys, and just focus on what brings you joy, really. And when you share it with others, you'll make the world a better place. So
thank you so much, Rich, for the broadcast. I really appreciate it. And for all of you following the broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Rich break the world and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.